just wanted to take a quick minute to tell you how you can get almost $250 worth of free bonuses that will teach you how to improve your desire, how to have more libido, how to get the right tests done to figure out the root causes of low libido from a physical perspective. This is for men and women. And you do this by pre-ordering a copy of my book. My book is coming out in late fall. Projected date is November 1st. And in my book, we're going to talk about all sorts of physical root causes for low libido, how to help pelvic pain, how to help erectile dysfunction, how to help vaginal dryness, how to do this together in your partnerships, and so much more. And when you pre-order a copy, I am giving you almost $250 worth of bonuses right away for your support. So to get that, you simply go to wanttowantit.com or look in the show notes for that direct link. So wanttowantit.com, the name of my book. Now back to our show. Hey everybody, Dr. Diane, your hot monogamy expert here. We're talking today about in long-term relationships, how to work and navigate ED. This is incredibly important because statistically speaking, almost every man is going to experience some version of this in their life, whether it's reaching climax too early, whether it is not being able to get hard, stay hard, these kind of things. It's going to happen to almost every man. And that's just because naturally, as times change with life, we have less blood flow go to our erogenous zones. We have changes in our nervous system. We have changes in our hormones. We have changes in the way that we work with stress. Now, just because it's going to happen to almost every man doesn't mean that every man has to be stuck there. So there are things we can do. So the way I recommend working with this is two parts. One, finding those root causes, right? We want to find those root causes. And you can go take my free quiz at libidoquiz.com that will help identify those root causes as well as lab tests that your doctor may not be ordering but should. So when you take the quiz, it'll send you information on make sure you get this tested and make sure you get that tested so you can have some actionable steps from that. So I do recommend going to libidoquiz.com to take that free quiz. Now, from there, we need to make sure that we are moving in a way around working towards those root causes, but also sometimes this can take a little time to fix, right? Sometimes if it's a circulation issue and we really want to fix the root cause, obviously there's things we can do along the way. We can certainly take things like Viagra or Cialis in order to allow more blood flow to happen in the meantime. But when we're really fixing that root cause, right, when we're really getting to whatever is that cause, which oftentimes is circulatory, at least in part, we want to still stay intimate. We don't want to give this up with our partner. So one of the most important things is normalizing the conversation, right? We get into a very vicious cycle where oftentimes what will happen is it gets brought up, or the partner gets let down because something's not working correctly and expresses that. And then it can get shoved under the rug because ultimately, as humans, we have this innate subconscious drive to provide pleasure for our partner. And so if there's a level where it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm not able to do this fully, it can lead to feelings of shame or inadequacy. And we want to really avoid that as much as possible. And so I've even seen situations, right, where people join some of my online programs and report back to me that without even doing any of the physical root causes, without even fixing things like, hey, let's bring more circulation to this area, that ED has gone away just by finding ways of normalizing it and talking about it and finding ways to be intimate around this. And that once the man starts to feel like, oh my gosh, look at all the ways I'm providing pleasure, that pressure is taken off, and all of a sudden this can self-resolve. So I've seen this work in a lot of different ways. And so how we do that, one of the biggest things is beginning to broaden the way we are intimate, beginning to broaden the way we give pleasure. Right? Because if we are only giving pleasure in this penetrative type of way, and then that happens, all of a sudden it's like, well, I have one tool for the job, and I took my tool away, and then it's like you're left with nothing. It doesn't have to be that way. So we want to start broadening and saying, okay, well, what are the other things we can do in our intimate life to share connection, to be in pleasure, to enjoy each other, right? What are the things that we're going to do? Like if this happens, if all of a sudden you're making love and all of a sudden it goes soft. If you haven't taken a minute yet to go to wanttowantIt.com to get your bonuses, almost $250 worth of free bonuses for pre-ordering my book, I recommend you do that now. We're going to go through so many reasons and so many solutions to fixing low libido for both men and women. It is action-packed with solutions from supplements to diet to lifestyle to lab tests you should talk to your doctor about to physical routines you can change. So many things designed to help support estrogen and testosterone and circulation and erectile dysfunction, vaginal dryness, so much more. So if you go to wanttowantIt.com, you can find that book for pre-order, and you can also then take advantage of the almost $250 worth of bonuses I am giving away for pre-order that will not be available for long. Now let's get back to our episode. How can you respond? What does a partner need to do in that moment to make it no big deal so you can just carry right along? What do you need to hear as a man? What would be helpful to hear? What would not be helpful to hear? And actually talking about these things. And for a woman, what would be helpful for you in those moments to just make it no big deal? Like if that happens, do you want him to please you in another way? What would that way be? How does he want you to respond to him so that he feels still like, wow, I'm still providing you all of this pleasure and we're still so close? So we want to do that. And then we also want to really pattern afterwards. We want to pattern all that's good, right? We want to really repattern and say, wow, when you touched me in this way, that did so much for me. Here's all the ways that you are providing me immense pleasure. We want to focus on, it's really important during this time, and I say this throughout my work, but we really want to focus on this time more of the good, of all the ways our partner is pleasing us. When we do that, then we're making this thing that still is important to address, right? Some of the taboo and getting the taboo out is when there's any ED issue, it's just an imbalance, right? I know it's an imbalance in an area that there's a lot of ego and pleasure and all these things, but innately, all this is an imbalance. And so we want to make sure that we are focused on looking at it as nothing more than an imbalance, nothing more than something that needs to be solved just from a health situation perspective. And while we're solving it, coming back and being like, oh, what are these ways we can bring novelty and what are these other ways we can explore pleasure? And this is where I've seen people turn something like ED into something that actually awakens the relationship and the intimate life, is because in this situation, it is a way that is forcing us as couples to say, okay, well, we need to find alternative ways in the moment of exploring pleasure while we're figuring this out. And then figuring it out at the same time and bringing it back. But now you've brought in to say like, oh, we can explore pleasure in this way. You know, intimacy can look like this too. Now you've expanded your repertoire. Now you've allowed for so many different ways to come in. So this is a way we can use this to say, hey, it's not an ideal situation, but like many things in life, when we take something that is not ideal, we turn lemons into lemonade, right? We find ways of saying, okay, well, let's do what I call lemonizing this. Like we turn lemons into lemonade, and we really say, how can we actually bring in this opportunity to say we are going to try new ways of exploring pleasure? So we want to do that in combination. And again, this is an example of like how we have to talk about it, but less about the problem, talking less about the problem and more around the things that we love, all the ways that we're experiencing pleasure and really working to build each other up. right? That's the thing to talk about. And then I do encourage any man that's experiencing this, go take my quiz at libidoquiz.com. It's a total free quiz that'll give you insight as to what may be going on here and additional ways to advocate for yourself with your doctor. So that can help as well. So I hope this helps. I hope that this is happening for you. You and your partner will use this as an opportunity to say, okay, this isn't a big deal, that we're going to solve this. We're going to find a solution. And in the meantime, we are going to expand our repertoire. We're going to focus on all the ways we do provide pleasure for each other. We're going to work that muscle of building each other up, focusing on all the different ways that are working, that you do love. And so that's the predominant thing in the mind, right? That's the predominant feedback we're giving each other. And in doing so, we can grow closer, we can have more intimacy, and we can bring back novelty. That's all for this video. Ciao for now.